Hello fellow human, hope you guys have a great day and let's read some entitled parent stories. To the first one. Do not try and make me babysit your baby or I will remove you indefinitely from my life. My brother and his psycho wife asked me the other day to babysit their children and I said no. I work a 9 to 5 job and do extracurricular stuff afterwards that's more important. To which his psycho wife said, "You're going to babysit your nephew and nieces because we're on our way to your places right now, and you're just gonna have to ducking deal with it." Which I then replied, "Go ahead and try," and promptly got in my car and left my place of residence and did not come back until later. I already had things to do. The next morning, my neighbor next door said that a woman was at my door with her baby and 2 little girls for an hour and half knocking on the doors and windows just trying to get in. To which I called my brother and was absolutely livid and told him to not let his wife to do that crap. Turns out they wanted me to watch the kids so they could go bar hopping until 2 a.m. and not have me return their children until 10 a.m. I've told him and my family I'm child free. Everyone seems to leave me alone about it except for this tramp. She has legit called me irresponsible and a man-child for not wanting to have kids when I first told my family about it. So basically they have a child and they want some free time, both of which are their decision, but somehow this is your responsibility. Wow. The second story, Maleficent's Revenge. How my cousin exacted revenge for years of entitled parents' behavior. Backstory. My mom is the oldest of 4 children and gave birth to me a few months before her youngest sister, let's call her Cruella, gave birth to my cousin, Maleficent. From the day she brought Maleficent home, Cruella groomed my cousin to be a beauty pageant kid. She started getting Maleficent's hair done as soon as she could and raised Maleficent to only wear dresses and very dainty shoes. When I briefly lived with my aunt, she used the money my mom sent home to provide for my care to get Maleficent's new clothes and hair. Cruella had a full-time job as the grocery store cashier and also received child support from Maleficent's father, who was in the US Air Force but spent thousands of dollars on making sure her daughter was always beauty pageant ready. When we got older, I was a grade level ahead of Maleficent. Cruella made Maleficent compete with me academically regardless of the difference in our classes. We were both good students and lived in different states, but Cruella would call my mom once a month and would ask detailed questions about my report cards. If mom told her that I earned all A's, Cruella would implement various punishments until Maleficent had just as good or better grades. At first, Cruella would belittle her own daughter with taunts. Then she would deny buying Maleficent any cookies, toys, etc. until her grades improved. When we started hitting our growth spurts, Cruella would make Maleficent wear old dresses and shoes that were way too small until her grades improved. Naturally, this made life difficult for me and my mom. Maleficent grew to resent me, and she often did petty things to get me into trouble, like breaking my grandma's doll collection, breaking dishes, even fought me a couple of times when I refused to be bullied. Mom stopped discussing my grades with Cruella, which worked until Mom and I moved back to her hometown where Cruella lived and enrolled in the same school as Maleficent. Then Cruella began to volunteer at the school on report cards just to find out what my grades and Maleficent's grades were. This continued into our college years. I ended up dropping out of college after 3 semesters as I had developed a drinking problem. I had to undergo a few months of treatment. Maleficent was enrolled in college by this time, and Cruella maintained her streak of competition by calling my mom to report how well my cousin was doing before snidely pointing out that I was no longer in college. I changed my phone numbers after Cruella called me one day to tell me that Maleficent was applying for study abroad, then asked how my borderline minimum wage retail job was going. The irony was that Maleficent would end up being a 4th-year junior in college when I finally returned to college. More on that later. By the time I returned to college, our grandma, mom and Cruella's mom, was in a nursing home due to dementia-related problems. She had been diagnosed while we were in high school, but the disease was progressing rapidly. Mom, being the eldest child, quit her job to spend every day at a nursing home talking to grandma, reading to grandma, etc. Mom wanted to have grandma return to grandma's home, but Cruella refused. Cruella had secured power of executor of the estate shortly after Grandma's diagnosis, meaning that she had the ability to place Grandma in the home despite her siblings' protests. It also meant that Cruella technically had the ownership of Grandma's home and land on which it sat. Fast forward a couple of years, Maleficent began dating a local pastor's son, let's call him Charming, and they got engaged in April, after dating for 3 months. Cruella wasted no time in bragging to my mom how Maleficent was engaged to be married. At this time, I was graduating from college, which really got under Cruella's skin. I still didn't talk directly to her, but I did keep up communication with my cousin. When I talked to her about the upcoming wedding, Maleficent revealed that Cruella was planning to take Grandma off life support and would use the money from Grandma's estate and insurance to pay for a lavish wedding. Maleficent also revealed that she did not want to marry Charming, was fed up with college, she was a 7th year senior, basically living the life of Cruella had created for her. I mentioned to my mom what Maleficent had said about taking Grandma off life support, and my mom was livid. She called Maleficent and they crafted the revenge together. The revenge! In June, Cruella decided to host a very over-the-top party to celebrate the engagement. Mom and I chose not to attend as we chose to visit Grandma in the hospital together that night. So, Maleficent's actions were reported to me by Maleficent herself, but I'm going to phrase them. Cruella had organized the evening so that the parents of the engaged couple and the engaged couple could stand to everyone in the room how amazing their respective families were. Charming and his parents had already gushed their praises for Cruella, and it was Maleficent's turn. Maleficent thanked Cruella for raising her, thanked Charming parents for raising such a good son, then announced that the wedding was off. She took the opportunity to tell Charming that she did care about him, but would not marry him just because it was what their family expected from soon-to-be parents. Maleficent then left the party and spent the night with one of her friends from high school. This humiliated Cruella on a personal and financial level. She had already paid non-refundable deposits for a caterer, wedding reception hall, dress, limo, etc., and she was out of hundreds of dollars. Furthermore, Cruella and Charming's parents were very against premarital intercourse, which made Maleficent's unexpected announcement even more appalling. Cruella had planned to keep the pregnancy as hidden as possible with the dress she had selected, the floral arrangement, etc., and Maleficent was expected to remain complicit. She called Maleficent and raged at her several times, but Maleficent stood her ground. She returned the car Cruella had bought for her and informed Cruella that she was dropping out of college as well, which would leave Cruella thousands of dollars in debt on student loans. Their drama took a backseat when Grandma passed away in early August. Maleficent had gotten a job in a corporate office by then and showed up to the funeral looking very happy and very pregnant. After the funeral, we had a reception and Cruella called Mom, me, Maleficent, and my uncle and the other aunt into a room together to announce that she was going to sell Grandma's house and land and would split up Grandma's life insurance policy money as she saw fit. It was the expected announcement from her, and she phrased it something Grandma would have wanted. I don't know who was smiling bigger, Mom or Maleficent, when they announced that they were contesting her power as executor of the estate. As Grandma's diagnosis of dementia had been announced just days before Cruella secured her position, Mom had consulted a lawyer to contest the decisions Cruella had made. Mom and Cruella ended up going to court and the matter was resolved less than a year later. Cruella's position as executor of the estate was overruled due to Grandma's mental capacity at the time. This meant that, outside of a life insurance policy Cruella had taken on Grandma, she received no money directly. Maleficent is paying on her student loans, but Cruella is still paying off other debts from living beyond her means. Mom agreed to let Maleficent and her daughter move into Grandma's old house, and she and Charming are co-parenting. Well, I have to say that your aunt sounds like an awful person. I'm glad she got what she deserved. The third story. My son's traditionally flat, cider is flat. Angry mother confused about strong alcoholic beverage, annoyed that drinking age laws apply to her son too. I'm in the UK, the legal alcohol drinking age is 18 here. ETA, yes, there are nuances that I'm obviously aware of, but these do not apply in this instance. I work in an extremely busy pub that sells drinks in takeaway cups to drink outside, an especially popular option in the summer when this story happened. Me, female, late 20s. Entitled mother M and kid come in the busy bar, I clock them when they walked in, kid looks around 15 years old. At the point where she is ordering her drinks to take away, the kid is outside. She orders a pint of scrumpy, strong still traditional cider in a cup without saying a word, dispassionately prodding the signage with her manicured finger without even registering my existence. I repeat her order back to her, pour her drinks and tell her how much. She ignores my offered hand and drops a note and a pile of coins on the bar barely within the awkward reach. I politely ask her if she wouldn't mind putting the coins in my hand. She ignores me and says, "Keep the change," and walks out. After she leaves, I awkwardly pretzel myself around many L pumps to fumblingly pick up the coins from the bar, count them out, finish the transaction in the till, and pop the extra 5p in the tip jar. Then go on to serve the next customer. A few minutes later, I'm aware of her beckoning me from over at the no service end of the bar, holding the pint of scrumpy. I make eye contact and give her a nod, then turn to finish serving the customer I have just poured a drink for. M, from across the room, "Excuse me." Me, "Hang on 1 minute please, I'm just serving this man." M, "Excuse me." I finish serving the man. Me, "Is everything okay?" M, thrusting the pint into my hands, "This cider is completely flat." Me, sorry for the confusion, but it's a traditional scrumpy, and it's meant to be flat." M, interrupting patronizingly, "I know what cider is supposed to be like. This is flat. I want you to pour another one in a fresh glass, and put some life in this one." Me, "Well, can I suggest you might want to try a different cider? We have a hard cider on keg that might be more what you're expecting." M, "I ordered what I wanted. What I was expecting was that you might know how to pour a pint. Do you want to try again, or shall I ask him to pour it for me?" She points at my male colleague. Me, "Excuse me?" M, "My son barely had a sip of that, and he won't even drink it." Me, shocked now. "Wait, you gave that to your kid?" M, sputtering a little, "Yeah, well, he's over 18. Me, "Is he?" I had seen him. He certainly did not look a day over 15. M must have noticed at this point that she was onto a loser, because the next thing you know, she's gesturing towards the pint of scrumpy still in my hands. M, "I'll just give it back. I don't have time for this." Me, "I'm sorry, but I can't do that." M, "I have paid for that." I get the money plus her 5p tip from the till and extend it towards her. She won't take it. M, "I want the drink I paid for." Me, "If you can come in with your son and a valid photo ID providing he is of a le..." M, bits of spit flying. "He is my son. He doesn't need an ID. I'm with him. I'm his mother." Me, "Well, sorry, but it's the law. Please take your money. I don't want an argument." M, "Fine, it's for me." I place the cider on the back bar out of her reach, close my eye and take a deep breath. 3, 2... M, "I want to speak to your manager." Yep, there it is. I haven't even opened my mouth to tell her that I am the manager before she's strutting over to my male colleague, CO, who has clearly been rubbernecking while serving customers and cannot wait to get involved. M, "I need to complain about your employee. She has no customer service skills and clearly doesn't know how to pour a pint." CO can barely keep a straight face. "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'll make sure she's fired immediately." M, "Now, you'll pour a decent pint, won't you?" CO, "Well, no, my pints are crap." M, shocked, "What?" CO, "Well, not gonna do it. 8% scrumpy isn't the best gateway alcohol for kids, by the way. Just saying." M sputters and storms out, muttering something about leaving a bad online review. I turn to CO and say his name reprimandingly. Me, "CO, you should not have said that." CO, "Sorry, couldn't help it." Me, "You shouldn't have said your pints are crap. You pour a lovely pint." Well, I was going to say the kid might have been 18 and just had a baby face, but her reaction to being called that makes it pretty clear he's underage. The fourth story. M wants me to pay for her to live in my deluxe apartment. So I live in an apartment that has 6 floors. Now, originally, the building had 8 apartments on each floor, but 3 years ago, a new owner bought the building. He completely redid the top 3 floors and they were made into deluxe apartment. Now, by deluxe, I don't mean anything too fancy, it just made the top floor's apartment twice as big. The top floors now have 4 bigger apartments on each floor rather than 8 small ones. Each have 3 bedrooms and 1 bath and comes with its own washer and dryer. The other apartment are only 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom with no washer or dryer hookup. The 3 bottoms apartment have to use the shared laundry room in the basement. Now, I moved in with 2 roommates pretty much as soon as they were available. So, have lived here for less than 3 years. My roommates both lost their jobs due to COVID and had to move home, leaving me alone in my apartment, which didn't bother me. I do not pay any more in rent, so I had my own space till my landlord finds new roommates. This happens last night when I was coming home from work and I ran into M. M is around a 22 years old girl with 3 kids who moved into the building a few months back, and well, she's just not a nice person. She frankly drives everybody nuts. I myself hadn't had any runs with her until last night. As I was waiting for the elevator, M comes up to me and this is how it went. M: "So, you live on the 5th floor, right?" Me: yeah. M: "What apartment?" Me: D3. M: "I hear those apartments are really big." Me: yeah, they are a good size." M: "They have 3 bedrooms, right?" Me: "Yeah." M: "Must feel really big with your roommates." Me: "Well, not really. I like being alone." M: "Don't you think it's a little big for you?" Me: "No." M: "Well, my kids would have loved that apartment." Me: "Well, if you're interested, I think there's one for rent on the 5th floor." M: "Oh, I cannot afford that rent." Me: "Oh, I'm sorry." M: "Maybe you could switch with us." Me: "Huh?" M: "You could be a nice person and offer to switch apartments. You don't need that much space." Me: "Well, you just said that you couldn't afford to pay for deluxe apartment." M: "I can't. That's why we should switch. That way, me and my kids can have bigger apartment without paying any more." And it hits me. She wants me to switch apartment and live in her smaller apartment but keep paying for the deluxe one. Me: "You're joking, right? This has gotta be a joke." M: "I have 3 kids and could use an apartment with more space. You're just one girl. There's plenty of space in ours." Me: "Yeah, I'm not paying for you to live in my apartment." M looked like she wanted to argue, but the elevator came and I got on, and I'm honestly surprised she didn't follow me. Well, I bet she wanted you to pay for both apartments. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.